أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, our dear viewers across the globe. Today we will be hosting Ahlulbayt TV live with our esteemed guest, Sayed Mohammed Razavi. But before we begin the show, we'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of the staff of Ahlulbayt TV and every one of us here to wish you all congratulations and congratulations to the Imam of our time, Imam Al-Hujjah. May Allah hasten his reappearance on the birth anniversary of the grandson of the Prophet, Imam Hussain, Imam Zainul Abidin, and the commander of the army of Karbala, Abul Fadl Abbas. On tonight's show, we said we'll be discussing the lessons that we can learn from these holy personalities who gave away everything in the lands of Karbala and ensure that the message of Islam will remain forever. Sayyid, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show. Said before we actually look into these personalities, it is quite important to note that Imam Hussain and Abul Fadl were part of Karbala's message, and then Imam Sajjad took over after Karbala. If you were to give us a short insight into the characters of Imam Hussain that stood out in Karbala, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As you mentioned, first of all, I would like to congratulate everyone on this auspicious occasion of birth anniversary of the Holy Imam Hussain, Imam Zainul Abidin, and Hazrat Abbas alayhi salatu wasalam. These are the noble personalities that took the flag of Islam after the hardship and difficulties that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had, and then following that Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam had to go through severe hardships and problems, both physically, emotionally, politically, financially. All these problems were there, and then Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wasalam took over the leadership of as an Imam of the Shia Muslims, and that ended up also in tragedy by him being killed the way he was killed, poisoned and killed. And then Imam Hussain took over the leadership. Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam took over the leadership in a very critical stage of Islam, where it was necessary for him to come out and take an action, and declare who is on the right path and who's wrong. So from this point of view, Imam Hussain, especially the tragedy of Karbala, plays a very important role in Imam Hussain's life, and that's what we need to discuss. Although we as Shia Muslims discuss all Imams, and the most of the time we just discuss Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, Imam Hussain, then we jump to maybe Imam Raza, and then to Imam, 12th Imam, and ignore all other Imams' role in the life of Muslims and what can we learn from their examples. First of all, it is very important to know that there are narrations in which we have been instructed to recognize the Imam of our age, and that is the responsibility and duty of every single Muslim at any time. We need to recognize the previous Imams, and we need to recognize the Imam of our age. And if you don't recognize the Imam of our age, we would die the death of Jahiliyyah. Recognizing Imam does not mean that we memorize the names and dates of birth and shahadat and where they were born and how they were killed. We need to know them by their teachings. We need to know them by their seerah and examples that they set. We need to bring their teachings in action in our life. If we don't do that, we are not really the true followers of the holy Imams.
That's a very important message that you have highlighted, I said. But before we get into this topic, a kind reminder to our dear viewers that you can call into our show with the numbers on the bottom of your screen, or you can tweet us at Ahlulbayt TV or at MJ Kassam. Let us know your comments, or if you do have any questions regarding these holy personalities. Sayed, when we look at the life of Imam Hussain, and since from his since he was born all until as you said, his main talking point was Karbala. And when you look at the way historians have classified Karbala, and when you have had famous personalities come forward and say that had we had the army like Hussein, we would have conquered everything, and we have famous historians saying that there will come a time when everyone will claim Hussein to be that. So that basically tells you that there is something about Imam Hussain that appeals to not only Muslims but throughout humanity. And what would you say is that one single attribute that belongs to this holy personality that has not only appealed to us but throughout humanity?
Yeah, Imam Hussain is the voice of oppressed people in the world.
Right.
When he stood, he made his stand against the corrupt rulers of his time.
Yeah.
He very clearly said that I'm not making this stand to take power. I'm not making this stand. I mean, it doesn't mean that taking power is wrong. No. He felt that it was his responsibility as an Imam.
Yeah.
Because as a Shia Muslim and followers of Ahlulbayt ﷺ, we believe that power belongs to Ahlulbayt ﷺ. And power was snatched away from them.
Yeah.
So even if he had stood for power, he would have stood for power that is that belongs to them, yeah, and that would have led the Muslim Ummah towards perfection, and would have led the Muslim Ummah in establishing an excellent example of justice, yeah, in the society, social justice in the society. So, and if you look at the sermons and and the comments that Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam gave throughout his life, especially when he took the leadership, imamat in his hand, and especially when he was invited to give his hands in allegiance to the, yeah, corrupt rulers, and then throughout his journey from Kufa to Medina, Mecca, and then from there to Kufa, to Karbala, and he kept on saying that he wants to eliminate oppression in the society.
Right.
And he introduced those corrupt rulers as oppressors. First of all, they were oppressors against, why they were called oppressors? Because they were doing an oppression against themselves, first of all. Right. And then they were doing oppression against the teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Misrepresenting the teaching and words of someone is an oppression as, yeah, well. And then imposing themselves as the leader and Amir al-Mu'mineen of the society, which is a great title. And then yet practicing against Islamic teachings, fornication and corruption and gambling this was the part of these corrupt leadership. Yeah. So Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam stood against any kind and every kind of oppression. So that is the main mission of Imam. That's why everybody loves to call Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam as the leader of them, or Hussein is with us.
Right.
As you rightly quoted that poem.
Yeah, there is a very famous poet who once said that there will come a time when everyone will claim Hussein.
Hussein is ours.
Yeah, Hussein is ours. That's a very interesting thing. But sir, there's one thing that always stands out every time people do speak about Imam Hussain. Every time history speaks about this famous personality, and it's something that I've always looked upon, and it's the character of sacrifice. Yeah, but quite often it is said that the Imam sacrificed his life for Islam. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't only his life or his family. There is a lot more things that he did sacrifice, for the message of Islam. If you could highlight into this character.
Yeah, I mean, he although he sacrificed his wealth, he sacrificed his position, although he didn't give his hands in allegiance to the corrupt rulers. But the leadership and the position was snatched away from him. So that is a kind of sacrifice. And he also sacrificed his wife, children, the oppression that was committed against them, honor, respect, dignity. That was all at stake in the plains of Karbala.
Great.
So he brought all his family into the battlefield to show that this is not the battlefield for one person. This is the battlefield for whole ummah, and the representatives of the whole ummah were there. I mean, like, there were youngs, there were ladies, there were old, there were male, female, everyone was there. So the whole ummah, he said, if corruption is being spread in the society, the only way we can confront the corruption is the way Imam Hussain did. Right. That means you have to bring all members of the unit of the society together in front of the corruption, then you will succeed.
So that's where every particular person who participated in the battle sacrificed their personal ego, we could say, to come up for this message of Islam.
And they represented different sections of the society and members of the society, ego, power, everything.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point once again there. But dear viewers, let us know what you have learned from the heroes of Karbala, what has inspired you, what particular characteristic of Imam al-Hussain has inspired you to take certain decisions in your life, and also to lead as an example in your community. Once again, you can call us with our number right at the bottom of your screen, or you can tweet us at Ahlulbayt TV or at MJ Kassam. And if you do have any questions, please do let us know, and Sayed will be more willing to help you out if you have any dilemmas about it. Sayed, there is something that has not been discussed quite a lot, but the fact that Imam portrayed a particular sense of leadership. A lot of, every time when we speak about Karbala and the way Imam Hussain, it's all about what he sacrificed, what he gave up, but no one has actually touched upon how he led, a group of 72 people. I'm sure that as a leader, he must be an inspiration to what a group of 72 to fight groups of thousands, and to give up worldly affairs for the hereafter. I would really appreciate if you actually did shed some light upon his leadership characteristics, and why leaders, and how leaders from today and our youth can learn from this particular attribute.
We have to actually look at the character of the all 14 infallibles that we believe in, like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How did he face the difficulties? What actions he took? And we have to bring that in action if we live in a period of time that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was living. Then we have to look at Imam Ali's period of time, that after, when Islam was in early stages of its life, and there were problems, and leadership was hijacked by others, and Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu was in a very difficult situation. So he could not have taken the action that Imam Hussain took. Right. And then after that, Imam Hassan also had a very difficult time, because the way, especially after the Khilafat of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, according to Ahl Sunnah, he became the fourth Khalifa. Right. He was the person who was supposed to take over the leadership, but then it ended up in a treaty, and so again, his leadership, he played a different style of leadership. Right. But these are all examples for us in different circumstances how we should act. We cannot always be Alawi, and we cannot always be Muhammadi, we cannot always be Hassani, we cannot always be Hussaini. But there is a time and place that we need to be Hussaini, and we need to be acting like Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. And for that, it is very important that we believe in the leadership that was established by the holy Imams, which is Marja'iyya. Right. And that kind of leadership, Hussaini leadership, can only be led by brave scholars, brave leaders, and they would look at the examples of every single Imam, and then if it is appropriate, they will guide the Muslim Ummah accordingly. So if it is necessary to be Hussaini, then we have to be Hussaini.
At that particular moment.
Yeah, at that particular moment.
Yeah. So what else would you say that stands out, amongst the personality that Imam Hussain possessed? Of course, I'm pretty sure there's a lot. There's bravery, sacrifice, and we will look into bravery a little bit later. But on a personal opinion, if today you are reading the life of Imam Hussain, what would you take as an inspiration from his personality?
Yeah, Imam Hussain was, beside being very brave, beside sacrificing his life and everything for the sake of promoting the Islamic teachings and standing against the oppression,
Right.
he was extremely humble person. He was extremely generous person. He was known as a person who was very kind to everyone. He was even kind to the soldiers who came to actually stop him,
Very true.
like the soldiers who came with Hur.
Right.
And that behavior of Imam Hussain ﷺ towards Hur itself attracted Hur towards Imam Hussain, and that we witnessed that how Hazrat Hur sacrificed his life on Imam Hussain ﷺ.
For those of you who would like a little bit more information about Hazrat Hur was one of the personalities who converted at the at the final stages before the battle, a night before the battle of Karbala began, and he was the leader of the army of the opposition, and he forced Imam Hussain to divert his way from Kufa and lead them towards Karbala. But as Sayed pointed out, the kindness and the humbleness of this great man, of Imam Hussain, the grandson of the Holy Prophet, inspired what as we just said was the leader of the opposition army to actually cross paths, leave away worldly affairs and joined Imam Hussain and his party towards the hereafter and the success of this world. Said again, we will now touch on bravery. Yes, Imam was brave enough, to fight the opposition, to bring about an uprising. But there is, there are a few aspects of bravery that you can look upon. As we said, bringing up an uprising, fighting himself. I'm pretty sure there is a lot of bravery that does, appear behind the scenes, like giving up his family and giving up his children. How would you, relate his bravery at that particular moment, towards the youths of today or towards elders of today? I mean, apart from everyone saying that we should give away our lives, to protect the Muslim Ummah, what other points of bravery can, we learn from the Holy Imam and apply them in today's life?
Yeah, one of the most important lessons that not only Imam Hussain, all our Imams taught us was that bravery does not mean that you just show your power and get into battlefield and just do whatever you like and be aggressive. That is not bravery. A brave person also needs to be diplomat. A brave person also needs to be a politician.
Right.
And that's what we find in Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. Beside him being brave, we see that how he controlled himself in certain situations.
Yeah,
and Imam Hussain, he is being confronted by all those enemies, but he is patient. He goes and tells the enemy's soldiers that I am concerned about you.
Wow. By
By fighting with me, what will happen to you? So and this is a true bravery, that he is brave. He could have done anything he wanted because of his bravery, but he controlled himself and used his bravery at the right point. And this is exactly what we are witnessing in present day in life. Like Syria is the best example.
Exactly.
You see takfiris, they are showing, they're just forgetting anything that is part of Islamic teachings, making everything legal and killing indiscriminately. But when you look at the Shia behavior in the same area, you don't see that kind of behavior from the Shia community in that part of it. They are following the examples of Imam Hussain. They are being a diplomat. They are not rushing into war.
Yeah.
They are holding themselves. And whenever they are attacked, they are there bravely to defend the holy shrine. They are there to defend their honor and respect and dignity. And that's what Islam teaches, that we will not be aggressive, but if you come to us, if you touch on our values and beliefs and holy shrines and all these places, then you will not find anyone braver than us, like Imam Hussain or Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam.
Said it's quite interesting to note that the three heroes in Karbala, Imam Hussain, Abul Fadl, and the fourth Imam Hussain, Imam Zainul Abidin, they all have one characteristic in common, which you can say again, bravery. But that again originates from their father.
Yeah.
From Imam Ali, and that is a very interesting point. If you go to see, dear viewers, that it runs in the family of the Holy Prophet, that bravery did not only exist amongst a few people. And as Sayed quite rightly pointed out, that bravery is not all about going into war and standing against people and killing them. Bravery comes in every aspect of life. Bravery in making decisions in life, bravery in welcoming people towards you, bravery in giving up small things for greater reasons, and bravery in making, as we said, life-changing decisions. Said we will shortly, of course, be going on break, but we will now be tying down on the topic of Imam Hussain. What would you say, would have been the greatest lesson for anyone in today's world, be it a Muslim or a non-Muslim, that he or she can learn from Imam Hussain, not only from the Battle of Karbala, but throughout his life? What would you say?
Well, I mean, the lessons are obvious. I mean, if you look at the teachings and sayings of secular leaders of the world, non-Muslim leaders of the world, like Gandhi and Nehru and so many Christian and non-Muslim personalities, they have said that they learned from Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. They have learned lessons from Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, and they used to say that that if you want to be successful, all you need to be is like Hussain. If you want to be successful, you need to have loyal friends like Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam had. With those loyal followers, he succeeded against, although he was killed, but the victory was not written in the name of his enemies. The victory was written in the name of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, and they are surviving.
That's a very interesting point there. Dear viewers, once again, we invite you to call in at the show. Tell us how you have been inspired, by the personality and the characteristics of Imam al-Hussain. Tweet us at Ahlulbayt TV. Tell us how you would define Imam Hussain in one word, in one line, and how you have used him as an inspiration in making life-changing decisions in your life. Sayed, we have 3 minutes before we go to break. When we look at again the life of Imam Hussain and how he's transformed from since his youth all the way up until there, and if you see, as I said, there is one thing that a lot of people have failed to point out, that how great of an inspiration he was, not only to his to his family, but also to his followers. That at that particular moment, to bring about 72 loyal supporters, brave men to come forward and fight for their lives, fight for the sake of Islam. How would you shed some light in him being as an inspiration? A leader who was also an inspiration to many people. How would you highlight that?
Well, we believe that leadership, the divine leadership, belongs to the personalities that were selected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a divine manner. And that we believe is 124,000 prophets. And Prophet Muhammad is the last messenger of God. And after that, whoever was appointed by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they are the leaders. So it is part of their teaching to be an inspiration. Without inspiring, they cannot attract people. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam started that before even declaration of his prophethood. He inspired people, then he became the leader. So Imam Hussain, and if you look at the Imam Hussain and Imam Hussein's personality during their childhood, they had already begun to inspire people. They used to inspire elders and youngsters, and this is how they established and ruled the heart of people. And that's what we need to learn. If you want to be a leader, you need to inspire them, inspire people who are following you by your character, by your behavior, by your and as Prophet Muhammad used to say, that we need to invite people with our behavior, not with our tongue. And that's what the Imams did. they behaved properly with the people, they respected them, and they gained the leadership.
It's very interesting, when you say that we need to invite people towards towards us using the tongue, but it's something that's not very common.
Not using the tongue,
as in sorry, I'll take that back. Using our characters, and giving out good words and humble. But it's interesting how that is not used, in today's world. Would you say that there is a big difference between the way Islam has been portrayed, in the media, and how it actually does stand out in other, in the way we believe? Is there a massive difference?
Yeah, there are rules and regulations for Amr al-Ma'ruf and Nahy al-Munkar, and there is no doubt that one of the obligations that we have is to invite people, others towards Islam. But there is a way, and there is a time, and there is a place for everything. You cannot, for example, if you go and start shouting like some takfiris do in the middle of pub and people dancing and drinking, you know that it's not going to benefit. You're wasting your time. So going and standing there in the middle of these people is not beneficial. If you want to preach Islam with your behavior. Like what Boko Haram is doing, this is not inviting people to Islam. Although kidnapping and hijacking and killing innocent people and raping the girls, this is not Islamic teaching.
That's a very interesting point. Dear viewers, we will now be heading for a short break, and when we return, we will look into the personality of the brother of Imam Hussain, Abu al-Fadl Abbas. But I will end with this point of the Sayyid that said, make sure that your actions are a result of an inspiration towards people and an invitation towards the right path, towards the religion of the Holy Prophet Muhammad and his household. Dear viewers, we'll now be taking a short break, and inshallah we will see you after this short break. Assalamu alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, and welcome back to our show Ahlulbayt TV Live, where today I've been joined by Sayed Mohammed Razavi, and we'll be discussing about the lessons that we can derive and learn from the heroes of Karbala, mainly Imam Hussain, Abu al-Fadl Abbas, and the fourth Imam, Imam Zainul Abidin. May peace and blessings be upon them. Once again, I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate you all on behalf of the staff of Ahlulbayt TV, and our sincere and heartfelt congratulations to the 12th Imam, the Imam of our time, on the birth anniversary of these three holy personalities. Before the break, we were discussing about Imam Hussain, and now we will turn our attention towards Abu al-Fadl Abbas, who is the brother of Imam Hussain and was the flag bearer of the army of Imam Hussain in Karbala. Sayyid, if you could, shed some light in his personality and how, he was so, influential in the Battle of Karbala.
Yes, Hazrat Abbas is son of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, the way Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, son of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. And the difference is that Imam Hussain is an Imam and holy Imam, divinely appointed successor to Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, after Imam Hassan's appointment as the leader. And the difference between Hazrat Abbas and Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam is only imamat, and that Hazrat Abbas is not infallible, Imam Hussain is infallible. So these are the different characters of the two. But in the battlefield, you see the excellent example that how, even though he was the son of the same father, but he knew his position and he knew his responsibility, and therefore he was extremely brave. He was extremely strong person, but he showed to the world that an imam is an imam. You have to obey the imam. Imam's orders are final. If an imam orders you, even though you are the bravest person, to just be the flag bearer of the army, you have to do that. And if you want to do anything without imam's permission, it is not permissible. And that's what he did. I mean, he followed and set the examples, and with his behavior, He is teaching us, the Muslims of the future world, and in his present day in life, that obedience to Imam and the leader is extremely important. And that's what makes us different from others, because the whole issue is on imamat and leadership. Let me give you an example. I mean, there was a young lady, non-Muslim young lady, who was coming to do some research about Islamic marriages and conversion and all of this. And there was a Sunni brother who wanted to study about the Shiaism. And he came to my office, and they were sitting, and because this lady used to come regularly to my office and sit and witness how I deal with the cases and how I help people to embrace Islam and learn about the Shia teachings of Ahlulbayt alayhim salatu wasalam. So this brother who was Sunni and he became Shia, he came, and this young lady asked the Sunni brother that, can I be witness to your conversion?
Wow.
And he allowed her, and then I talked about and explained about everything. Then this young Sunni brother asked this Christian girl, who was not there to become Muslim, who was there to do her university research. He said, if you were in my place and you had been invited to become Muslim, what sect of Islam would you have chosen?
Right.
And she said, Shia.
Wow.
And then I had to do something and went away. And then this lady told me later on that he asked her privately, that why did you say that you would have chosen the Shia madhab? And the Christian lady or non-Muslim lady who was doing research about everything, she said, I would have chosen the Shiaism because of imamat.
Wow, mashallah.
So this shows that as an outsider, she is able to recognize that imamat and leadership is extremely important. And that's exactly what is gradually missing, or this is what our enemies are trying to do in the minds of our youngsters. They are trying to, they have identified and recognized that if you want to undermine Shiaism, if you want to undermine Ahlulbayt alayhim salatu wasalam's teachings, weaken the ideology of leadership in them, and then you will be successful. So we have to be aware and alert that if we are true followers of Ahlulbayt alayhim salatu wasalam, we should follow the example of Hazrat Abbas. Even though you are from the same father, you are equally strong. You could make decisions, but you are giving importance to an imam, because he is the imam, he is the leader, and the imam and leader has to be given importance.
It's very interesting, that you pointed out the fact that many a times when we have, that one thing that we need to learn from our fathers, of course, that if the imam is there, then he has to be respected and given the power to make decisions, which in today's world is not actually the case, because despite the presence of the marjas and the presence of spiritual leaders, we still have individuals who do come out and make decisions on their own and confront them.
Yeah, that's exactly how, that's what I pointed out, that enemy is working very hard to weaken the position of the leadership,
right,
to weaken the position of a marja. So if they can manage to weaken that, they would be able to rule them. And the reason, like look at the example in Syria, what they have, the Takfiris, they have lack of leadership, and what we have is leadership. Our pious leadership is keeping us together. Our pious leadership is helping us to be together and be successful in our mission. And although they are greater in number, but because of lack of leadership, they're all scattered. They're even fighting with each other.
That's a very interesting point. Dear viewers, do let us know, call in or do tweet us at Ahlulbayt TV or at MJ Kassam. Let us know what you feel about the personalities whose birth anniversary are being celebrated on these 3 holy nights, and also do let us know how you have been inspired by their acts, by their personalities, and how you have implemented them in your life today. We will be looking forward to your calls, and if you do have, of course, any questions, Sayed will be more than willing to help out in answering them. Sayed, again, we did touch about the bravery about Imam Hussain, and as we say that, bravery does exist, in the blood of the family of the Prophet Muhammad. But every time people do discuss about, about Faz, the exact one particular characteristic that everyone touches upon is his bravery.
Yeah.
His bravery, that he had the, people thought that it was like Imam Ali going to, to the battlefield. But again, as we said, bravery is not all about going to war and, how many people you can kill. What other aspects of bravery can you highlight, from Abul Faz during that particular moment in Karbala?
Well, let me give an example of the beginning of Islam during Prophet Muhammad's time. There was a very brave soldier who was fighting in a very brave manner in the middle of battlefield. Some of the companions of Prophet Muhammad saw this person fighting in a very brave manner. They said to Prophet Muhammad, "Oh, mashallah, he is a very brave soldier. And he is just attacking the enemies of Islam from every direction, and if he dies fighting like this, he will go straight to paradise." And Prophet Muhammad said, "No, he will go straight to hell."
Wow.
So they were surprised. Why? He's doing everything. So in reply, he said, he's not fighting for Islam. He's showing off to his lover. So the lover marries him later on.
Wow.
So it depends on the intention as well. Bravery is only counted when your intentions are sincere, when your intentions are for noble cause. If your intention is to just take power, if your intention is just to for greed or show off or ego, then that bravery is useless for us. So we need to learn from Hazrat Abbas that he was the bravest person, but he was most obedient to the leader of the time, and he listened to whatever the leader decided to for him.
There is one thing that a lot of people have attributed towards Abul Faz, and of course it is what his role was in Karbala, was that he was the flag bearer, of the army of Imam Hussain. But there's so much that we can learn, from him being as a flag bearer, that, as you said, despite him being the flag bearer, having the power of an army, he still decided to consult, his leader and his imam of that particular time. But again, I'll still ask you this question. If you look into the life of Abul Faz, and particularly the incident of Karbala, what characteristic would you say, stands out for you as an individual, and that you can say that our youths and our, the generation of today can use it as an inspiration in today's world?
Beside being what Hazrat Abul Fazl Abbas also taught us is management. He taught us how to discipline ourselves. Right. He taught us how we need to be united as a social being, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us as a social being, and one of the requirements of social being is to have leader, and leader is the one which creates the system in the society. And there are scholars who have said that as long as our ummah, the followers of Ahlulbayt alayhi salatu wasalam, stick to the system that was introduced by Ahlulbayt alayhi salatu wasalam, nobody can defeat them. So we have to keep the system of Ahlulbayt alayhi salatu. The system is taught by Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, that letter to Malik Ashtar, which is also recognized by the United Nations, how to govern and how to lead in the society. Or Imam Zain al-Abidin's also, whose birthday is during these days, he has written whole chapter on Risalatul Huquq, in which he teaches the rights of human being, different members of the society. He describes their position, and then he teaches what are their rights and what are they supposed to do. So these are the lessons that they have left for us. This is what we need to concentrate on and bring it into action in our society, implement them.
it's quite interesting, Sayed, that you pointed out about this letter about Imam Ali. Is it? I think it's letter number 53, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. This particular letter was written by Imam Ali, the father of Abu al-Fadl and Imam Hussain, and at that particular moment, Kofi Annan, who was the Secretary General of United Nations, has, quoted that particular letter. Sayed, on this note, we have a caller online. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Imran Imam. I'm calling from London here.
Yes.
Maulana Razavi, I have had the pleasure of meeting Maulana Razavi several times. Maulana, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, ahwal shuma.
Alhamdulillah.
Just wanted to ask you about, the question of inspiring people that you brought up. It's a very pertinent question that I have in mind. Since nobody is calling, therefore I decided to call you.
Yeah,
the question is this, that why was it that in Karbala, Imam Hussain alayhi salam could not inspire the people who had gathered around? This question was posed to me, and I could not answer, so I asked a rhetorical question. And the question I asked of the person who asked me was that why was it Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam could not inspire people to join the expedition of Osama ibn Zayd ibn Harith?
Thank you very much for your question, dear brother Imran. And Said, I'll just repeat the question for dear viewers. When we talked about inspiration and how Imam Hussain has been an inspiration to many, brother Imran is asking why couldn't the Imam, inspire the opposition army to leave everything that they've done and join the army from Hussain?
He did his best. There is a condition that the person who is being addressed should also have the potentiality of it. I mean, ability of accepting it.
Right.
If you don't have the ability to accept it, you can't. I mean, it is just like pouring water on top of a hard stone which slips away. But if the stone has the ability to absorb it, it will be possible. Right. And that is only possible if if you look at the people, there are verses of Holy Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this Quran will only help people who are willing to listen to it.
Right, very interesting.
And there are people who would listen from one ear and
take
it out from other ear, and nothing would change them.
Right.
There are verses of Holy Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says even Allah cannot inspire people unless they decide to change. Allah cannot change people unless they decide. Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. So those people were deaf and dumb. They claim to be the reciters and memorizers of Holy Quran, but those verses of Quran were not benefiting them. And that's what our holy Imams have taught us. When you learn to read Quran, don't just learn to read Quran, although it is even looking at the verses of Holy Quran has benefits. Reading has benefits. But we should not be content to just reading. We should try to absorb it. We should try to understand it. Each time when you read the verses of Holy Quran, you may get attracted to a meaning in a different form, different way, depending on your circumstances and what phase of life you are going through. It may benefit the same verse. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in the middle of battlefield may benefit you differently, and Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in a happy occasion may benefit you differently. So it depends how you are willing to accept it. If you are not willing, if you are stubborn, if you have decided Imam Hussain is corrupt, na'uzu billah, and you are going to fight Imam Hussain, so nothing will even if Imam Hussein's word would not change. Yes, Imam Hussein's words did inspire the person who wanted to change.
Very true.
And that was Hur.
Right.
Because he had opened his heart.
Very right.
So if you have a biased mentality, if you have a biased mind, if you have already decided that you want to take the side of the wrong and oppressors, if even the Prophet comes down and reads verses of the Holy Quran, it will not benefit you.
That's a very interesting point. Sayed has mentioned it. I hope that does answer your question, Brother Imran. Dear viewers, as you just witnessed, a very interesting question that has just come in, and you could partake in this discussion with us by calling us live on the numbers that are available at the bottom of the screen, or you can tweet us at Ahlulbayt TV or MJ Kassam. And Sayed, we will of course be discussing the fourth Imam Sajjad in our next phase. But going back to Abu al-Fadl Abbas, it is quite often said that he wasn't given the right or the opportunity to fight the opposition, and he was sent to go and collect water for the children and stuff. Was there a reason behind the Imam sending him for that particular reason? I mean, quite a lot of times I've received this particular discussion that why would you send your bravest soldier, or the leader of your army to go and collect something when you know how important he is to that particular army, and he could be the reason why you could be successful or victorious. Do you think there is a particular reason why the Imam sent Abu al-Fadl to just go and collect water and not fight in the battle?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Imam Hussain ﷺ had appointed Hazrat Abbas as the tallest, bravest person, and I forgot to mention this earlier, that the bravery that the bravery that Hazrat Abbas had was not only from Ali ibn Abi Talib ﷺ, because when Hazrat Fatima Zahra Salatullah alayha died, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib ﷺ got married to al-Baneen, the mother of Hazrat Abbas. And before people went to search for a wife for Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib ﷺ, they interviewed him, what kind of a wife you are looking for and what are the qualities you are looking for. Right. So Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib ﷺ especially pointed out the person who should be selected for me should be from a tribe which is known to be very brave. Right. And as an Imam, he obviously knew that what will happen in future to Imam Hussain ﷺ, and therefore he was preparing someone for Imam Hussain ﷺ. And so Hazrat Abbas had bravery from both sides, not only from Ali ibn Abi Talib ﷺ, from mother's side as well. The tribe she belonged to was known as the extremely bravest tribe of that area.
So before we continue that, we have a caller online. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I was watching your program and I was listening to what you were saying. I just wanted to say, we have to follow the way they taught us how to be brave. And like you're saying, it's not always violence, but we need, it's missing in this day and age now. We need to get that back. We need to take control and get rid of the corruption and do more for our society, and even put positive feedback every time. We need to. That's what's missing. If we start doing that and people start, practicing it and taking it more serious, we could change the world. We could live in those times where we've got the technology and everything else. We're more advanced. We could actually use that in a positive way, and we could change the world. Because when you think of it, it's always when you look at I know it's two sides. There's always good, positive things, and it's negative things. We could change the negative things by educating ourselves more and just and do, because it makes me sad to see that when you see people that are struggling, and even in this country, you get homeless people that they don't know what to do. Alcohol and drugs seems to be the answer, when really they're killing themselves. It's negative things. They think it's glamorous to smoke, drink, it's going to get them somewhere, when it's not. It's killing everyone, and even people like ourselves brought up in this country. We're taking bad habits from the society when we don't need the bad habits.
Very true.
It's just, I like watching what you're saying. It's just, it makes me angry sometimes as well about the world. I know it's a test. We're here for a test, but I wish we all could just hold hands and just be good and change the world, you know.
Right.
I really do. I really want to make a good impact myself. I want to do something to change, but I'm struggling myself because I don't know so much about I'm a Sunni Muslim, and I like to. Ahlulbayt channel keeps me going, you know, and I like to learn from it. And right now I'm struggling as well because I don't always have family around me as well.
Right.
It's just the culture problem that gets me down. But you know, even the mosque, sometimes I know what you're saying, like when you go there, it's not always support. Sometimes I crave for the support, but it's never there. I don't know what to say.
All right. Thank you very much for a very inspiring call, and the fact that we today at Ahlulbayt TV can actually make a difference in people's lives. Sayed, there was a very interesting point, some very interesting points that were shared by the sister, saying that we could actually use technology and other things to educate people because people are looking for support. You know.
Yeah, of course, and that's what Ahlulbayt ﷺ taught us, that
Right.
we should not be the children of past. We should be the children of time, and we should educate our children to be the children of time. It doesn't mean that we should change the Sharia. It doesn't mean we should forget the noble teachings of Islam. It means that we should use the modern technology in the benefit of Islam and Islamic teachings,
Right.
and then we can progress. Of course, we have to be, as the sister was mentioning, which is, I mean, she said, this is what I heard. She is a Sunni Muslim, but
Yeah.
Ahlulbayt TV keeps her going,
Right.
because she's inspired by the teachings of Ahlulbayt ﷺ. So Alhamdulillah, it is working, but we need to improve.
Right.
And follow what Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib ﷺ used to say, that if two of our days are passed equally without any progress, we are in loss.
Very true.
So I would tell the sister that you should follow this saying of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib ﷺ, that you should keep on progressing, and inshallah you will be successful. You will be out of that struggle that you're going through in your life, and God will help you. We need to be positive. I mean, being negative is Shaitan's whisper.
Very true. Once again, dear sister, we would like to thank you very much for your very inspirational call, and on behalf of the staff of Ahlulbayt TV and all of us here at the office, we would like to extend our support towards you. Should you require any support from us, be it to get to know the right path, be it to inspire a few people, and as you said, be it to educate people and to get them towards the right path by offering them the much needed support, we will be more than willing to help you out. Please do get in touch with us at our website. And Sayed will now be going on a short break, and when we do come back, we will be discussing about Imam Sajjad and what an amazing personality, and how he has changed, how he changed the community he was living with a single book that had all the supplications and the treaties of rights that are being used today in various societies. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and I'll see you after the short break. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Ahlulbayt TV Live, where tonight we have been joined by our esteemed guest, Sayed Mohammed Razavi, and we will be discussing about the lives of the heroes of Karbala, including Imam Hussain, Abul Fadl, and Imam Zainul Abidin, and how their personalities have been an inspiration to many of us, and how we can learn a lot from them. This is now the final segment of the show, where we will be discussing the life of Imam Zainul Abidin, the son of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, who was also part of the army and that went to Karbala, and thereafter the fourth Imam did lead the Ummah, the Muslim Ummah, until after being succeeded by his son. Said, when we look at the life of the fourth Imam, there's a lot that stands out. There's there's a famous poet who said that had it not been for the sermons of Zainab and Imam Zainul Abidin, the message of Islam and the mission of Karbala would not have been accomplished. There's quite a few things that I want to discuss, but we don't have enough time. However, I would like to first discuss about the speech, the oratory power that the Imam had when he went, to Kufa and to Sham, where he delivered sermons that actually shook, the whole tyranny and oppression. If you could highlight this particular thing and how today, the youth of today and us Muslims can learn from using the tongue in the right way to lead people, towards the right path.
Yeah. Imam Zainul Abidin has also played very crucial role in the history of Islam, especially after all those atrocities, problems that were created by so-called Muslims and non-Muslims against the holy Imams and against Imam Hussain, Imam Hassan, Imam Ali, Prophet Muhammad. So Imam Zainul Abidin was the person who inherited all of this altogether, and therefore the stage that he was living in was completely different to all previous Imams, and it was the time to be careful. It was time to be able to attract others towards the reality, towards the truth that was being misrepresented by the corrupt rulers of the time, because they had made extreme effort to and they were quite successful as well. They had brainwashed the minds of the people in believing that Imam Hussain, Nauzubillah, was the person who was greedy of power and stood against it. So, and when especially Imam Hussain was killed, and the way the looted caravan of Imam Hussain was taken town to town until it reached the city of Sham, Damascus, the preparations were made, propaganda was done. In the middle of the palace also, Imam Zainul Abidin was placed in front of a crowd that was there to celebrate victory. And in the middle of that crowd, he gave a very excellent speech and lecture and moved everyone. People were crying after listening to the speech of Imam Zainul Abidin. He introduced himself. I'm the son of the Prophet Muhammad, I'm the son of Ali and Fatima, I'm the son of Makkah and Medina, and all of this, Safa and Marwa. So he brought the whole, not only his Islamic personalities, but his Islamic shi'ar as well, and I mean Islamic values into his speech, and provoked the whole crowd. So, and this is what we need to learn, and we need to learn how to be eloquent. We need to learn how to use the media in an appropriate manner and pass the message the way Imam Zainul Abidin ﷺ did.
When it comes to the speech, it will be very interesting if quite a few of us, or our dear viewers, if you could look into the speech of the fourth Imam and how it changed, it changed sides when people actually were brainwashed, as Sayed said, that Imam Hussain was on the wrong side, and when Imam Zainul Abidin, or Imam Sajjad as is famously known, when he gave his speech, how the crowd turned and came to realize the truth, and how we today, as the ambassadors of the Prophet and his religion, we could use the speech, the power of speech to invite people towards the right religion and differentiate ourselves from extremism. Said, you quoted in the last segment saying that there is the unique thing that the Imam had done was to write down the treaties of rights, that are being used today in a lot of communities, whether Muslims or non-Muslims. But before we go to the treaties of rights, there's a whole book that he's compiled about his supplications and how, it's quite phenomenal how the supplications, just in writing, converted a whole sect of non-Muslims to Muslims, from Jahiliyyah towards knowledge and enlightenment. If you could shed some light towards these supplications and how he used this particular power to bring about people towards the right path.
Yeah, if you look at, as I have mentioned earlier, atrocities and all problems that Muslim Ummah went through, this was the period that Imam Zain al-Abidin inherited. And the Muslim Ummah was kind of going through a period they needed spiritual upliftment. And Imam Zain al-Abidin concentrated on that. And this is yet another example that even in circumstances like that, we should not sit idle. We should do something constructive. As the sister was mentioning, we need to be positive. We need to give positive feedback to the society, to the community, to uplift their morale. So this is what Imam Zain al-Abidin did. He compiled supplications and taught us how to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as an infallible person. We believe that he is infallible and he didn't need any of these prayers, but he was thinking of us. He was teaching us how to connect ourselves to God, and how God is there to help us. And he wrote du'as for depression, du'as for difficulties, problems in our life, du'as for the warriors at the battlefront, du'as for every kind of issue that we face in our life. So if his du'as were not there, we wouldn't even know how to pray and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Very true. Dear viewers, for those of you who still do not know about the book of du'as that the Holy Imam has written, it's known as Saifat Sajjadiyah. You can also access it online. As Said was, Said highlighted, the Imam wrote down du'as for every particular segment in life, every particular aspect in life, from the sighting of the moon towards depression, from good outcomes towards all the way to du'as for the parents and children, and so forth. Said in this particular book, at the last bit is where his most unique piece of treatise of rights have been highlighted. And I'm pretty sure that would be, for me, as an individual, that stands out, for his contribution in the world today. If you could shed, some light towards that, and how it applied not only to that particular moment, but it applies even today, and how we could use that, to implement it in today's life and bring about a better Muslim Ummah.
Yeah, especially. Again, I will go back to what happened before Imam Zain al-Abidin, when and the period that Imam Zain al-Abidin inherited needed such kind of guidance. The reason people committed oppression was because they did not know what are the rights. Right. So he, as an Imam, felt responsible to write the treaty, which we can call in modern language. He introduced the human rights.
Very true.
And said why oppression is committed, and when oppression is committed, we have to make sure that human rights are taken care of. And this is one of the logos and slogans of the world. People, in the name of human rights, they do so many atrocities, so many wrongdoings. So what Imam Zain al-Abidin taught was quite differently to what is being taught and used nowadays. Imam Zain al-Abidin described what is the right of a ruler, what a ruler is supposed to do. And he not only discusses what he is supposed to do, he is also telling what he deserves as a ruler.
Very true.
So he's keeping the balance. Who should be the ruler? And when the ruler is right and pious, what kind of respect
should be given to him, and how and this is his right, because he is the ruler of the community and the society. And as the follower, we have rights as well. As a person who we live in the society, what are parents' right? What are husbands' right? What are children's right? What are the employer's right? What are the employees' rights?
he discussed basically everything, and even he discussed animals' rights and described them. So, and that, because of that kind of period that he was going through, it was important to raise this kind of awareness.
Right.
And because he managed to raise this awareness in the community of that time, the following imams were able to open the doors of knowledge, because he prepared the grounds for Imam Muhammad Baqir and Imam Jafar Sadiq. Because of the awareness of the rights of each other, the society that they were leading gradually was able to give a bit of freedom to Imam Muhammad Baqir and Imam Jafar Sadiq, and they were able to teach whatever they taught.
Right. It's very interesting, said, when you pointed out about him laying the foundations of of knowledge for the fifth Imam and the sixth Imam. Of course, the sixth Imam is referred to as the teacher,
father of all
Muslim
sects.
When you're looking at these treaties of rights, I remember a famous poet, you can say, or a famous personality once stated that one of his friends walked into one of these high-profile non-Muslim places, and when he walked in and he was browsing across the library, and he saw Sayed Jadiyah there, and upon inquiry, and he said, we today as non-Muslims use this as a means to put down our rights and to do our laws and regulations. It's quite phenomenal, and of course it's baffling to see that when non-Muslims can use this to inspire themselves and lay down their foundations, we as Muslims in many aspects have failed to take over this post. And what would be your advice towards the youth of today when they look into the treaties of rights? Because quite a lot of them think that these rights were for those times and not for the modern times. And of course you have reviewed them and gone through them. What would you suggest them? And how would, as the sister said, use and find support to get towards that particular goal that we're all looking for? How can, say, for Sajjadiyah, particularly the du'as and the treaties of rights, be used as that?
Yeah, we should translate the Sahih Sajjadiyah, the supplications, and introduce them into especially the followers of divine religions,
right.
Ahlul Kitab. And I did, while I was in America, I used to invite non-Muslims to our center and used to give Sahih Sajjadiyah, and when they used to read, they said they had never seen a dua and supplication so complete like this. It is teaching us the manners of asking. It is teaching us what to ask and how to ask. And some of them used to say that they even read parts of Sahih Sajjadiyah in their churches.
Wow.
They selected the part which didn't contradict. Because of course they wouldn't recite Salawat on Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. So they deliberately chose the parts that were very common between all human beings.
Right.
And that is the beauty of the work of Imam Zain al-Abidin. He wrote the dua in a common person's or grassroots level person's language, that he has or she has committed grave sins and he is desperate for help and greedy for help and mercy of Allah and looking for His blessings, and this is what he or she is asking.
That's as I said, it is quite phenomenal, and quite interesting how these du'as have not only been, these supplications have not only been an inspiration to Muslims but also non-Muslims. More importantly, as I had pointed out, it has been used, in churches for prayers, and there is quite a lot into these du'as, more than just an inspiration. There are lessons for us to be learned. These are the ways where we could get closer towards God. When, as Allah says, there is no one who can get lost in hope when He is there with you. It is our duty as Muslims to look into these supplications and use it as an inspiration, and of course for our own safety, and as the sister said, for our protection and support. Said we are in the final 3 minutes of our show, and we have discussed these three particular personalities, Imam Hussain, Abul Fadl, and Imam Sajjad. What would be your message to the youths of today? How to use these particular personalities, and of course the rest of the Holy Imam, and how they can implement lessons from them in their lives today?
I would advise and request that we should look into the lives of these noble personalities. We should consider them as our role models rather than Hollywood and Bollywood film actors. Unfortunately, there was a survey done, and young girls were asked who are their role models, and they were naming all these silly personalities. It is the responsibility of the Hussainiyas, mosques and TV stations to introduce the personality of Ahlulbayt ﷺ in a way that our youngsters and youth feel proud to present them as their role model and follow them as their role model.
Thank you very much, Sayed, for those amazing remarks and words of true wisdom and inspiration. Dear viewers, as I said, on this particular occasion, on the occasion of the birth anniversary of these three holy personalities, it is very important that we as Muslims learn the way they led their lives, learn the way they treated people of different religions, and take it into us and implement them, and we can together create a different world. On behalf of Ahlulbayt TV and the staff, and on behalf of Sayed and myself, I will once again like to congratulate the whole of humanity and the Imam of our time, Imam al-Hujjah, may Allah hasten his reappearance, for the on the birth anniversary of these three holy personalities. And we pray to the Almighty Allah to bless us all with His endless and blessings and mercy, and help us take their life as an inspiration in today's world. And on my concluding remarks, on behalf of Sayed and I, once again, congratulations and thank you, dear viewers, and all those who called in and offered messages of support, particularly from the sister who is now tuned into Ahlulbayt TV, and we are glad that we can make a difference in your lives today. Thank you very much once again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.